Hi creative friends, my name is Ashley, the Thrifty Chica here on YouTube. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thanks so much for joining me here today. And if you're a returning friend, thank you so much for coming back and spending some time with me. We're going to be making a custom mug for Mother's Day, and this is so fun because you can really play around with different types of infusible ink and make it exactly what you would like. So this is also part of a collab with one of my friends. Her name is Abby, and her channel is called Sassy Ranita Crafts. She's also a Cricut product expert, so she's a wealth of knowledge and just a wonderful person all around. So if you haven't checked out her channel, go check it out. She's going to be showing you how to make a t-shirt version of this, and also her channel is in Spanish. So if you want to learn all about Cricut Design Space or just learn something new and have some fun inspiration, you should always check out her channel. I love seeing what she's up to. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to walk you through this whole process. If you want to craft the same project as me, check out the link in the description box. It'll take you directly to this project. Here are the supplies you'll need for this mug. We're going to be using the Cricut Infusible Ink. This is a transfer sheet set in the color watercolor patterns. We're going to use this peachy pink color as well as this blue, and you can see them here. They look a little bit more muted because heat hasn't been applied yet. We'll also be using heat resistant tape, a Cricut mug. You can substitute a straight walled sublimation mug as well, as long as it fits within the size requirements for the mug press. And then also I'm going to be using a lint roller as well. So the first step is make sure that you have clean and dry hands when you're working with infusible ink. We're going to take our sheet and we're going to place it inked side up. You can tell the difference between the sheets because the back will have a shiny coating on it and the front will be the part with the color. So even if it's a little bit muted, it will change color once heat is applied. So we're going to take this and apply it straight onto our mat. And just make sure that you press it down so that it's adhered to your mat firmly. Try not to drag your hands across it because you can lift up the ink if you took your hand straight across. So now we're ready to load this into our machine. Make sure that you've selected to mirror your project before you load it into the machine. To remove your project from the mat, flip it over, and then you'll take hold of your project and just roll your mat away. Now we're ready to take our next sheet and apply it to the mat, doing the same process as before. If your sheet is kind of rolled up like this, sometimes it's easier if you just grab a hold of it by both hands and you just start at the top and you lay down that first section holding this sheet away and then lay it down. And then that way the ink doesn't touch the mat while it's rolled up. Same thing as before, we're gonna load our project in and let it cut. Now we're ready to unload our project from the machine. And same process as before, I'm going to flip this over, hold onto the project, and roll the mat away. Since I'm just using a small portion of this project, I'm going to make sure that I cut away the pieces that we are using and save the rest for later. If you want the machine to create a box around it to cut out for you, you can do that as well. I just tend to do this by hand. And now we can go ahead and weed these projects. So let's talk about how you weed these pieces. When you're working with infusible ink, you want to make sure that you've cracked your design, which is basically you roll it around a little bit with your hands and it releases it from the background. You'll hear a little cracking noise as you're rolling it. I usually try not to touch the design itself. I try to touch around the design. That way it doesn't remove any ink or anything. And you'll hear it do this little bit of cracking, and then what you can do is go in around it to remove the pieces. So you can start in a corner, and as you can see there is the shiny side here and then the paper side. So if you start at a corner, then you should be able to peel it back. Remember, if you're working on it and you're having any problems where your design is tearing or ripping, you can always use your tool to hold down pieces and also to help sweep under the pieces that are having a problem disconnecting. So usually the best result come if you spend a little bit longer on the time where you're cracking the design. So that's just something I recommend, is to take your time whenever you're working on removing the infusible ink from the background here. So here you can kind of hear it do that little bit of tearing. So that just lets me know that I need to go back into this section and manipulate it a little bit more. And as you can see, there's little tiny pieces here. You can just take your tool and hold on to those sections so that they stay on the background as you're removing it. And now we just have the center portions to remove here where the letter is. So if you flip this over, you can see the pieces that would need to be removed. So the easiest way to do this is just place your finger right behind it and kind of roll this a little bit, and it'll start lifting up the corners. You can place your tool right underneath that and pop those pieces out, so that way they're not in your design. And then it's ready to go. So now let's go ahead and weed the rest of the pieces and put them all together. So before you place anything on the mug, make sure that you go back over and take a look at your design the other direction, and that will help you know if you've missed any pieces in it. So that's a trick that I use every time that I'm working with infusible ink, is I always flip it back over and just take a look and see, does anything look off with the design. So these two pieces will go together where it says love you and then it has the hearts. For this, what we're going to do is transfer these hearts because they're the easiest pieces to transfer, and we're going to place them on this design here. You can do it a couple different ways. You could keep it where it's attached to the background and just cut it straight out and place it back here, as long as it's inked side facing you, or if it's easier to manipulate and pull off, you can do that as well. It just depends on how thin the pieces are. So if you're working with something that has a very thin piece, then I might recommend cutting it and just bringing over the whole piece. But in this case, it's easy enough for me to move. So what I'm going to do is just line this up so that it looks the same way. So I'm just flipping this over just so I can take a look and make sure that I'm placing this in the same direction as the other one. So this one's going to be along the bottom here, right next to the Y. And remember, that's each side always facing up towards where the mug is going to be. So now we can take these two pieces and move them over as well. And you can flip over your design to take a look, and you can see what it looks like once you've applied those pieces. So remember, everything on this side should be the background, and then this is the side with the ink on it. Now we're ready to do the same with the other piece here. We could do it a couple different ways. We could slice out these sections so that it's individually applied, or we can remove this and apply it as well. So for this one, what I'm going to do, since it has a little bit of accents, I'm going to cut around it, and we're going to place this one on the backing here. So we're just going to cut this down so that it's pretty small, so it fits right into the other section. So now you can see this is the part with the ink, and this is also the part with the ink here. We're going to place it so that it's exactly where we need it to be. So the easiest way to do that is you can take the design, flip it around, and take the design this way and flip it. So you can see this is the part that's sticky on the background here. And sometimes it's easier to visualize if you place it right over the top, and then that way you have the positioning perfect. And just remember, if you're working with this and the piece of the tape here interferes with the design up top in any way, trim that down so that it won't get in the way. So in this case, it does interfere a little bit. So I'm going to trim it a little bit closer just to make sure. So I'm just placing this face down on my table so that it's a little easier for me to line up exactly how I want it to look. Now we're ready to add the design to our mug. We're going to take our lint roller and just run this over the outside of our mug, just to make sure that there's no lint or anything that would interfere with the design. Make sure to apply some heat-resistant tape all the way around the outside of your mug here. And this will help to make sure that it adheres completely, especially when you're working on a free-floating design like this one. It really helps if you have enough backing on it so that it sticks really well to the mug. So now I'm just going to place this with the adhesive side up, out of the way, and do the same to the other side. So one of the biggest challenges you'll have with a free floating design is making sure that it's centered on your mug. So one reason that I use a piece of tape is to help with that problem. So you can take a piece of tape and put it exactly in the center portion here so that it's even. And then you can use that as kind of a guide mark for when you're placing your project. You can also determine which side you want to have each message. So if the person's a lefty or a righty, you can place whichever message you prefer on each side for them. So for this one, I'm going to place the love you message on this side, and I'm going to use this as kind of my guide, this little piece of tape here. So when you're placing something that is a flat, like 2D object on a rounded or curved object, something to keep in mind is you don't want to place it completely flat straight on. It's easier if you work in a section where you just control one small section. So for this one, I'm going to take my mug and I'm going to take my decal and just press the middle portion of this on. And that should help me to control this a little bit better. So I'm just taking a look at it, and once you're happy with how it looks on your mug from the center, you can take this and roll it sideways. So take that, roll it tightly sideways, and then that will ensure that it stays on correctly. If it's not 100% on, you can still peel this back a little bit and go back over that section and do it again. So don't feel if you make a mistake that this is permanent. You can always move the decal around a little bit, and that way you get the best result. Make sure that you adhere it tightly so that way there are no major bubbles or gaping between the decal and the mug itself. Recommend having a heat-safe surface nearby for your mug once it's done. Turn on your mug press. We're gonna let this heat up, and I also keep an oven mitt handy in case I need it when I'm transferring this over. Okay, now we're ready to place our mug in the mug press. So you'll just make sure to place it with the handle centered in between, and then as you close it, just make sure you keep the handle centered. It'll create a countdown, so we'll just wait for it to count down. It takes about 6 minutes for the mug to completely complete its process, and we'll just remove it safely and place it on our mat when we're ready to go. Okay, now it's ready to go, so we're just gonna lift it up. And you can use either a mitt or you can use your hand as long as you're careful with lifting up the mug. We're gonna place it onto our heat-safe surface and let this cool down. Okay, so this is cooled down completely. I've actually let this sit a lot longer than needed. Usually you'll let it sit for about 15 to 30 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and unwrap this and let's see how it turned out. This is my favorite part, and I know you guys are probably the same. I usually have to preoccupy myself with something else to do while I'm waiting for it to cool down, because I'm very impatient. Oh, how pretty. I love that. Isn't that so pretty? So we use this watercolor transfer paper here, transfer sheet, and you can really tell the watercolor effect. So you can see kind of the transition from one color to another across it. Let's go ahead and get the other side too. Okay, here we go. Oh, this one you can really tell the transition on it. So if you take a look at this, you can kind of see how it goes from a lighter color of blue to a darker color of blue as it progresses. Really pretty. So that's one of the things I really love about the transfer sheets is you get just a completely different type of look depending on where the transfer sheet lies when it cuts out. So such a great way to get kind of a unique look, because not every mug is going to look exactly the same. So once you've created a Cricut mug, you can go ahead and box it up. If you created it using the 15-ounce size, they come with a box already. So it's kind of a blank box. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to decorate it using Dollar Tree items. And these are all just items I found at Dollar Tree. There's some really pretty stickers, some bows, and then I'm going to use some of this Dollar Tree paper as well. So what we're going to do is first just open up all these stickers, and my idea for this one is just to take it from the very bottom of the box and just kind of have it spread up across to the top here as well. And we're going to break out some of these bows and add them to the top of our box too. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take this and first place the bow on it, and that way I can work around where the bow is. So you could do a ton of different things, but if you're just looking for a quick little idea for decorating, this is an easy way to go, and it'll still look really fun and festive. So I'm going to take these really beautiful butterfly stickers, and as you can see, they have these 3D foam tape. So what I'm going to do is I want to start it so that it's at the front where you would open it, and I'm just going to start placing them as if they were flying. So we'll start out one way and then go a little bit heavier as we're going along. So that way it kind of dresses up the box and makes it a little bit more fun. And in this case, I'm going to start carrying some of the pieces around to the other side as well. This is why I got a couple packs of these stickers, as I think it will look nicer to have a really full look, and I don't have to worry so much about if I have enough stickers to go around it that way. So for this sheet, I've already used up the bulk of them, but I want to continue it all the way across. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep going, and I'm going to make it so that they're kind of following a pattern and then maybe going around to here. So that way every side of the box has a little bit of butterflies across it. I might put a couple just random ones kind of mixed in here. I don't want it to take over the whole box, but I think this side is kind of lacking something. So I'll put a couple of just misplaced little butterflies there. And that way you can really see what it looks like, and it looks like they definitely have a path that they're following here. If you wanted to dress it up even more, you could always add more of the cute little ribbon here. I'm going to take a look and see what I think about how this looks on here. So there is our finished box, and as you can see, it kind of wraps around. And what I'm going to do is just open this up. I purposely made the front of this where the main trail of the butterfly starts, because that's where you're going to take a look at it. So I'm going to open this up. If you were shipping it, you can always use the bubble wrap that comes with your project here that you made. I think it's always a good idea anyway, if you're going to give a gift, just to add a little bit of extra support around it just in case. So we have our mug here, and I'm going to go ahead and take this and wrap it around our mug. And now we can take some of our blue paper from Dollar Tree, and we can use this inside just to add a little bit of extra wow factor with it. This is not a very big box, so we don't have a ton of room in here. We'll just have to kind of make it work inside. But sometimes just having that little pop of something extra special in there makes it feel even nicer. To go with our mug here, we also have a Dollar Tree box. So Dollar Tree now carries these really beautiful boxes for gift wrapping. They have a bunch of different colors and styles. I went with this one because I kind of liked the color. It's a little bit of a punch of color, and I thought it would go perfect with this shirt that matches as well, using the same colors and the same pattern as the mug. So if you're looking for a great way to package up everything, check out Dollar Tree, and you can use the cute gift boxes, and you can find something that definitely matches your project. If you want to see how to create this t-shirt, you can always check out Abby's channel. I will have that linked in the description box below. I definitely recommend it. I love her videos, and she's so helpful and knowledgeable and kind as a person. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that it helped you out on your quest to make something wonderful for a special mom in your life, or maybe for yourself. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content, and give this video a like if it helped you out. I will see you guys later, and I hope you're having a wonderful day.